The Pokemon trading card game. It's been around almost as long as the Pokemon games have. A fun, real-life, interactive platform to live out your fantasies of collecting, battling, and of course, trading. As part of my collection series, I've only recently started getting into collecting the cards. But anytime the intrusive thoughts telling me to play the actual trading card game arrived, I shook them off. In all honesty, I didn't think I would be good enough, or smart enough for that matter, to play Pokemon cards competitively against anyone. I'd constantly write it off, but fate had other plans for me. I was actually leaving for a dog sit, packed a whole bag with my Switch and my Game Boy to play Pokemon while I was away. I left in such a rush that I forgot my entire backpack. So, with nothing but my phone and a cute pup by my side to snuggle with, I took to the App Store to see what Pokemon had going for it for the mobile gamers. I should also note, I am not a fan of mobile games. I am so consumed by games on other platforms, and I'm already on my phone enough, so I tend to avoid that kind of thing. But again, fate had other plans for me. Pokemon TCG Live. To give a bit of backstory before I fucking go off on this game, TCG Live has only been around for a year. Prior to this, we had TCG Online, which was owned by Direwolf, and had been around for a long time. Based on what I've researched, it appears that the Pokemon Company wanted a trading card game that was fully owned and controlled by them, and out came TCG Live. The goal of the game is fairly simple. Each player has 6 prize cards, which you would collect by knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. A basic Pokemon would give you 1 prize card, and any Pokemon with EX or V next to it would give you 2. You won the game if you collected all 6 of your prize cards, or if your opponent had no benched Pokemon for backup. Oh, also, if your opponent ran out of cards to draw from. Which I know seems very rare, but plot twist, it's not. So there I was, sprawled across the couch, dog on lap, figuring how the heck to do this. I was using the pre-built decks, trying to get enough energy cards on the first Pokemon I sent out so I could make a move. That's how you play, right? No, it goes deeper than that. There's strategy, there's trainer cards, items, supporters, tools. There are certain Pokemon that benefit from being used with specific trainer cards. There's a multitude of different ways you could craft your deck. I had some homework to do. So I experimented with a vast variety of different pre-built decks. And to be honest, I really just thought the only thing that differentiated these decks was their typings. But no, each build has somewhat of a built-in strategy to it. For example, the Giratina V-Star deck features cards whose moves are almost all contingent on how many cards you keep in the Lost Zone. You add your Comfey. Is that how you say it? Comfey? You add your Comfey, which would allow you to draw 2 cards, 1 into your hand and 1 into the Lost Zone, once per turn per Comfey, if you could efficiently switch them out, of course. You had your Cramorant, whose ability made it so that your moves required no energy so long as you had 4 or more cards in the Lost Zone. There was Sableye, who would be able to put 120 damage on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you want, as long as you had 10 or more in the Lost Zone. Trainer cards like Colress's Experiment, Lost Vacuum, and Mirage Gate allowed for more cards to get lost, giving you more of an advantage in the game. Of course, your V-Star Giratina at this point would hopefully be poised to use its V-Star power, Star Requiem, which would knock your opponent out instantly. Or what about the Lunatone and Solrock deck? You can attach 1 psychic energy from your discard pile to your Lunatone, setting up its Moon Kinesis attack, which does an extra 30 damage for every energy attached to it. There's also, of course, the fairly new Roaring Moon EX deck, which features the Roaring Moon EX card, as well as a basic one. With a wealth of ancient cards that you can use and discard, basic Roaring Moon's Vengeance Fletching does base 70 damage, plus 10 for every ancient card you've discarded. Roaring Moon EX has Frenzied Gouging, which knocks out your opponent's Pokemon while doing 200 damage to itself. It also has the move Calamity Storm, with a base attack power of 100, and doing an extra 120 damage if you discard a stadium on the board. Trainer cards like Dark Patch and Sada's Vitality allow for players to easily rack up energy attachments. These decks are all unique, but all have one thing in common. They can be workshopped in many different ways, tailored to your playstyle, allowing for infinite experimentation in hopes of creating the ultimate deck. All is good in the world, until it isn't. That's right, folks, it goes even deeper than that. Unfortunately, there are a lot of decks, some that are made and introduced by the company themselves, that are super overpowered, and oftentimes unfair. Even more unfair when you consider that card games by nature are almost always luck-based. Immediately, I think of the Charizard EX deck. Picture this: coin flip. Your opponent wins. They go first. They start with somewhere between 1 to 3 Charmanders on the board. Right off the bat, this doesn't look good, but we won't spiral just yet. Luck isn't entirely in our favor, but it's not in our favor either. If luck is in your favor, you'll be able to get off an attack or two that will hopefully knock out your opponent's Charmander. If it's not, probably best to say your prayers, because all it takes is 1 rare candy and 1 Charizard to be in their hand. If they don't have it, they can use Arven to grab a rare candy or an Ultra Ball from their deck, and then they can evolve into Charizard. No Arven? It's likely they have a Pidgey on their bench and a rare candy to evolve into Pidgeot, which then has the ability to search your entire deck for a specific card, likely a rare candy or a Charizard. In layman's terms, you are not getting out of here alive. Once Charizard EX is in play, its ability Infernal Rain activates, allowing you to attach 3 fire energy to your Pokemon however you want. 2 energy attached to this Charizard gives it the ability to use Burning Darkness, which does 180 damage alone, and an additional 30 for every prize card your opponent has taken. If you've had enough time to get your team set up, this will be a little more manageable, but if you pulled a bad hand, I hate to say it, you might be fucked. And of course, that's not to say it is the most unfair deck in the world. If there weren't ways around it, then it would not be in the game. I've had my fair share of moments where I get mollywopped by someone using this deck, and I ask myself, how is this allowed? Look, it's fine when I use it and win. When I use this deck and I play with it and I do this shit that I'm complaining about, it's okay because I'm doing it. But being on the receiving end of it is so much worse. It's humiliating even. Probably more than half the people you play are using this deck. Good luck, because I'm still trying to find a one-size-fits-all answer for it. But wait, it goes deeper. Now, the decks we're about to talk about here are very specific, painfully difficult to navigate decks. These are decks that shouldn't be even allowed, in my opinion. They're decks solely made to inconvenience you, embarrass you, and make you want to throw your phone out the goddamn window. I call them troll decks. The first one I ever ran into used a wealth of Wiglet and Wugtrio. What made this deck stand out to me was the Wugtrio had a move that would flip 3 coins, and for every heads, 3 cards would be removed from your deck. Again, this may not be a problem if your team is prepped and ready to attack, but if you've been struggling, you're not drawing any of the right cards, your bench is looking sad, your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy, losing 3 to 9 cards from your hand per turn is not going to do you any favors. More recently, I faced someone who had a deck of all basic Snorlaxes, Rotom V, and Chi-Yu EXs. All Snorlax had the ability block, preventing your active Pokemon from retreating. Now, these Snorlax didn't attack. No, what made it impossible for me to beat this team was the fleet of trainer cards that kept everything moving for them. Pokegear allowed to search for supporter cards. Eri shows my hand to my opponent, and they're able to discard 2 item cards that they find. Misfortune Sisters could do the same thing, but with the top 5 cards. Penny could shuffle one of their Pokemon and all energies back into their hand, nullifying all damage I may have inflicted until that point. Team Yell's Cheer and Palpad allowed the opponent to infinitely recycle these supporter and Pokemon cards and make my life a living hell. Rotom V would use its ability to draw more cards every turn, and if they really wanted to go the extra mile, Chi-Yu EX's Jealousy Singe would discard the top 2 cards from my deck. I was so flustered by the Snorlax deck that I went ahead and I made one of my own, titling it Fucking Bullshit. I thought to myself, this is going to be fun. Let's see how other people like it. Well, that was fun, but I'm done. Perhaps to an unhealthy degree. I start and end my day with a match. I hate mobile games, but I love playing TCG live. And you know what they say, right? If you love something, let it go. See the world. Touch grass. But I didn't just touch any grass. I touched the only kind of grass that somebody who has been playing Pokemon TCG Live for way too long and had to come to terms with the idea that luck-based games are just gambling without the money, unless, of course, you spend money on this game. Go off, I guess. And you don't want to develop any more unhealthy habits than you already have by sinking countless hours into an app on your phone. Could touch. Thank you guys for watching this video. I never would have thought that I would end up doing a video essay on Pokemon trading card game. Yet here we are. This was a little bit of an impromptu idea, and over the last few months I've been severely obsessed with this game, so I felt it would be only right to make a video on something that I am very clearly passionate about. I'm still playing this game, and very honestly, when I wrote this, the meta was a lot different than it is now, so I could easily make a whole second video on it. So if you're interested in something like that, I would love to cover it. Let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know your opinions on these decks, and let me know what your favorite deck is to play. All that good stuff. Leave a like. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another upload. And once again, I appreciate y'all coming by and making me a part of your day. And I will see you in the next one. Peace!